3 years ago, I started a Mexican dwarf crayfish breeding project. As a matter of fact, it was in this exact room, in this corner right here. You can look and see that video in the top right corner.
So currently, I simply have this pair, this one male, this one female.
Now, surprisingly, I haven't made any updates on that, and that's because I haven't actually had the Mexican dwarf crayfish. Now, it's crazy how the world works. Literally a week or two ago, on that original video from 3 years ago, somebody commented on it and was asking for an update. I think their name was Hi, I Was Here. I'm sorry, I don't remember the specific comment, but it's up on the screen. And it's funny because I moved back to South Carolina. Obviously here we're in the animal room, and I went and picked up the Mexican dwarf crayfish from the person I was letting keep, the person who I let keep them so that they would stay alive and so that they would be well taken care of. Now, obviously those original 2 Mexican dwarf crayfish from that very small Tupperware, kind of like this one, we don't have anymore. Those are the ones I gave to the friend. He took care of them and he kept breeding them. They did breed for me actually once. All of those babies died. I'm pretty sure it was my fault. There was a heat spike, but he continued breeding them. All of the babies didn't die. Like 4 or 5 of them lived, and I ended up giving those original 5 babies and the original 2 adults to him. He kept them. He really fell in love with the species, and he's been breeding them for a decent amount of time now. And from that original batch, the original 2 parents and 4 or 5 babies, we picked up some of their descendants, I guess you would say. And that's what we have right here. We have 6 in this grow out bin right here. Now, obviously these aren't the originals. Like I said, these are descendants, and it actually has been a couple of days since I got these crayfish in. I ended up transferring them from the box he shipped them to me back in. I wasn't able to meet them in this bin, and we transferred them into here. One of them didn't make it, unfortunately. I think it's like 3. It was 3 males, 3 females, I think is what he shipped out to me. I think he said he couldn't sex like 2 or 3 of them. But we have 5 Mexican dwarf crayfish in here right now, and they are doing good. I wanted to put them in this grow out bin first because I can make sure the water temp and everything is good, and that there's not going to be any fluctuations, especially with that grow mat. Those work extremely well. And I just know everything in this grow out bin is excellent, plus extra plants, filtration, all of that. So that's why we started them off in here. Now, as a matter of fact, I wasn't actually the one that did the transfer, the drip acclimation to make sure the water quality and stuff was the same, as well as the heat acclimation. That was my mom and sister. Thank you to them. I'm going to show you all, it's probably on the screen right now, them actually doing that transfer. I was over in Mexico, which that video will be out very shortly, but I'm going to go ahead and show you all the update on the Mexican dwarf crayfish, because the 5 I have, or the original 6, the 5 I have are doing really well. That breeding project went good. Like, we actually got babies out of the project. I wasn't able to raise like a massive amount. I got 5 babies, but I didn't even get to keep them and see that whole grow out process. So obviously now that I'm back and I have, we got a sizable, they're 5 adults, I want to retry that breeding project. So we've got this tank set up. At the moment, this was originally going to be for some pygmy sunfish or some scarlet batis, but I think what we're gonna do is maybe swap it over and put some crayfish in here, or maybe that's what we'll do this tank for. That transfer, obviously, though, will be for another video. We're gonna end up putting them in one of those 2 tanks over there in that far corner. I do want to do the breeding project again. We'll probably do 2 males, 4 females, or 2 males, 3 females. Yeah, we'll probably do that ratio and then leave the other male in here. But I'm gonna go ahead and show you all of them close up. They're doing really good. They've all kind of got like their separate territories, I guess you could say. And it's been, like I said, 3 or 4 days, and I can pretty much tell exactly where they all are. So funnily enough, I got the GoPro here. I'm gonna show you all some close-ups of them. I don't want to just take them out with a net or anything right now. It has only been a couple of days, and while they have acclimated well, crustaceans typically aren't the craziest of hardy fish. And I honestly don't even know how well the GoPro is going to be able to see in here, because it's kind of tucked away in the corner. Let me get my phone and shine the light on it. Now I've gone ahead and swapped to my phone because I think the phone will actually be able to see in here a little bit better. It's just literally just a mass of plants that I'm growing. I put all my grow plants in here. There you go. There's one right there. Look at them. They're adult sized right now. They don't get much bigger than that. That is pretty much an adult, even though, you know, regular crawfish get a lot bigger. A lot bigger than that. Okay, and just to show you all, because I think this is such a crazy throwback for the channel, I went ahead and scooped one up. Please don't pinch. They're gonna pinch me. You're gonna pinch me. Look at that. That is one of the Mexican dwarf crayfish, one of the descendants at least. The camera's not really picking it up the best though, so. I mean, seriously, look at that right there. That is the Mexican dwarf crayfish, one of the descendants from the original project all those many years ago. Doing really, really well. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna go ahead and sex this one. I don't know how well you all can tell. That right there is a female. Is a female Mexican dwarf crayfish. I'm not, like I said, I'm not gonna go ahead and add them yet into this. I'm gonna let them sit in here for about a week and a half until we get that other setup nice and done. Let's go ahead and cover everything back up. Boom. And so yeah, that is a 3-year update on the original Mexican dwarf crayfish breeding project. Let me know if you all think I should just go ahead and design a tank separately for the pygmy crayfish? Dwarf crayfish. Let me know if you all want me to design a separate terrarium for the Mexican dwarf crayfish and leave this for the pygmy sunfish and the scarlet baddest. Because I don't know if that would even be such a good setup because there's not really many burrows and stuff they can take. And with crayfish especially, you want to give them as much hiding space in like separate enclosed areas that they can like escape and separate themselves off from one another. That way you discourage cannibalism and give them like a place to hide in their own territory. This doesn't really have too many of those, and if they do end up breeding, I'm gonna already have to remove them. There's like 3 females, but I would have to remove them really, really soon because there's no space at all pretty much for the babies to hide in there. Whereas if I was to design one, I would do a lot of rocks and stuff. So, I don't know. Let me know what you all think in the comments. That's the update though. 3 years from now. It's crazy that I actually have these guys back now. Oop, she's moved off again. I'm gonna move this filter back in the corner where it's supposed to be. One of them, as a matter of fact, hides in the filter. I don't know. They're weird, but there's 5 in here. They're doing good. And that is the update. Catch you all in the next one. Peace. Time to finally get on the water.